What did you do? I worked at I don't remember doing that.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, fellow National Guardsmen, and citizens of Fairfield. I am Major Brad Shell, the Battalion Executive Officer for the 224th Combat Engineer Battalion. I extend a most appreciative welcome to you as we dedicate our newly renovated Fairfield Armory. It is my pleasure to introduce our distinguished guests and ask them to join me on stage. The Chaplain of the 224th Combat Engineer Battalion, Major James Luter. The President of the Fairfield Armory Board, CW4 retired, Lane Bush. The company commander of Headquarters Company, 224th Combat Engineer Battalion, First Lieutenant William McClintock. The commander of the 34th Army Band, CW2 James Goodwin. The next commander of the 224th Engineer Battalion, Major Roy Webb. The Executive Vice President of the Fairfield Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Robert Phipps. The Honorable Robert Rasmussen, Mayor of Fairfield. State Senator, the Honorable David Miller. Brigadier General Barry Griffith, Assistant Adjutant General, excuse me. Special honored guest, Major General Warren G. Lawson, the former Adjutant General of Iowa, and his wife, Bobby. Other honored guests not seated here and out in the audience, would you please stand? Sergeant Major Blodgett, previous 224th Engineer Battalion, Command Sergeant Major. Brigadier General Billy Nordike. Major General Robert Gamreth, retired. Mrs. Wilma Lawson. Mr. and Mrs. Jean Lawson. Mr. and Mrs. Bruce Abbey. Mrs. Grace Roberts. Sergeant First Class James Saltz and his wife Joan. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for the posting of the colors and the National Anthem being played by Fairfield's own 34th Army Band under the command and direction of Chief Warrant Officer James E. Goodwin. The National Anthem will be sung by Specialist Regine Slaw, a member of the 34th Army Band. Post the colors.
Preside! Halt!
Please remain standing for the invocation by Chaplain Luter.
Shall we pray? Dear Lord, as we come together today to rededicate this fine facility to be used by our soldiers, we come as thankful Americans. Thankful for the United States of America, thankful for the state of Iowa, thankful for the city of Fairfield, thankful for the 224th Engineer Battalion, thankful for the 34th Army Band, thankful for all of the families and all of the citizens and all of the soldiers that they represent. And we pray that you will give us your blessing today. Bless our civic leaders who are here today with us. Bless our military leaders who are here today with us. Bless all the soldiers who will train in this facility, both present and future, that they will serve our country with pride, integrity, and selfless service. And may this facility always be used to serve and to glorify and to honor the great country of the United States of America. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please take your seats. The history of the interaction between the city of Fairfield and the local militia is a long and deep with pride and commitment. Fairfield, Iowa's 1st National Guard unit was Company M, 2nd Iowa Infantry, mustered into service in December 1896. Fairfield's 2nd National Guard unit came into being when the 4th Infantry Band was assigned on Armistice Day, 11 November 1918. The original unit had 28 members. Fairfield received a 3rd National Guard unit on 21 July 1921. The unit was the 133rd Infantry Medical Detachment. On 10 February 1941, the Fairfield units were mobilized along with the rest of the 34th Division and departed on 27 February for 11 months training and subsequent service in the European theater of operations during World War II. After many reorganizations and redesignations, the two current units are the 34th Army Band activated on 15 April 1947, and the headquarters and headquarters company, 224th Engineer Battalion, having roots back to May of 1959. This armory was built and dedicated in 1956 and has essentially served the community and the units with minor upgrades until now. As I have stated, the interaction between the community and the militia has been a long and honorable one. We are here today to rededicate an armory that will take this relationship well into the next century. Our first speaker was elected mayor of Fairfield on November of 1973 and assumed his duties in January 1974. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you the mayor of Fairfield, the Honorable Robert Rasmussen.
Thank you very much, Major. Again, I'm happy to be here to join on this particular occasion on the rededication of the Fairfield National Guard Armory. And I can't help but think, as I was making a couple notes, that perhaps even if it wasn't a rededication, maybe it's time for some of the people in our community to at least take a look at what has been accomplished and what has been achieved by having the 34th Army Band here and the 224th Engineer Battalion. You know, both of those have made a major economic impact on both the community and in terms of the leadership of the people who have served in this. And I think as a result, I see leadership in our own community coming out of the soldiers who have, out of the Guard and out of the soldiers who have served very faithfully for all these numbers of years. Whether you're brand new or you retired, the soldiers have a dedication to help our country and to protect it. And probably more important, be ready to handle those things that need to be defended in peacetime as their primary mission. I can't help but think of the times of the 1993 flood, of the hurricanes, of the tornadoes, of the fires, of those type of things that the Guard is always stand ready and prepared to handle in terms of a militia as far as the communities throughout the state of Iowa and national if necessary are. So I think we lose sight of the fact that we do appreciate the work that this Guard unit has done, and certainly we appreciate the fact that we do have a new and improved armory. You heard that it was built a number of years ago, and I've been in office long enough that I can remember the amount of time and effort we have tried to do to get this armory improved. Band members complaining about the lack of practice room, of the restroom facilities inadequate, of the kitchen not being available when they needed it. All these kinds of things that we have worked a number of years for, and finally we're successful in at least getting a remodeling and a renovation of these facilities. So I do hope that as you wander and leave here afterwards, that go in and see some of those kinds of things that maybe are not right in front of you here as we sit here and listen to some of this program, but there have been some major changes here that we're all very proud of. I think this indicates to me, at least, that there's a commitment on behalf of the state and the National Guard of Iowa to at least keep this Guard unit here, and we appreciate the work all the soldiers are doing at this time. Thank you.
Our next speaker, Brigadier General Barry A. Griffith. Barry A. Griffith is the Assistant Adjutant General, Iowa Army National Guard. Brigadier General Barry Griffith assumed duties as Assistant Adjutant General, Iowa Army National Guard on 24 October 1998. As Assistant Adjutant General, Iowa Army National Guard, he is responsible for mobilization and readiness of the Iowa Army National Guard. The General's active military service began in 1970 when he was commissioned from ROTC at the University of Iowa. He joined the Iowa Army National Guard in 1971. Prior to this assignment, Brigadier General Griffin served as Commander, Camp Dodge Training Site, and most recently as Special Projects Officer. In that capacity, General Griffith was responsible for further developing the continuous improvement process in the Iowa National Guard. Brigadier General Griffith is an M-Day officer, drill status. He lives and works in Mount Pleasant, Iowa.
Mr. Phipps, Mr. Rasmussen, Ms. Reynolds, Mr. Miller, General Lawson and your entire family, General Gamreth, General Nordyke, retirees, alumni, members of the media, soldiers, and friends, good afternoon. On behalf of the Adjutant General of Iowa, the Chief of Staff of the Iowa Army National Guard, and the Commander of the 67th Troop Command, I would like to thank you all for participating today and being with us for this important rededication. Community is, as the Mayor spoke of just moments ago, is what the Iowa National Guard is all about, and your presence here today certainly supports and demonstrates the community support for the National Guard, and that it's as strong in Fairfield as it's ever been. And also, as the Mayor observed, I hope that you can see that us being here today to do what we're doing does in fact show support from the Iowa National Guard to the community. And as you've heard earlier, Fairfield has a long and proud tradition of supporting the militia, and it makes a great relationship. Today this armory is home to two units, to the soldiers of those units, the 34th Army Band, and I'm sure I don't have to tell you that it's one of the finest bands in the Army inventory, and as you listen to it you can hear why. It's also the home of the headquarters and headquarters company, the 224th Engineer Battalion, and the Engineer Battalion also has companies in Burlington, in Ottumwa, Mount Pleasant, Keokuk, and Davenport. The major remodeling efforts and sacrifices made by the soldiers here over the past 14 months, and of those of you that have helped in a myriad of ways, have resulted in an outstanding facility for these soldiers to plan in and to train, to execute their assigned tasks and missions. It really is a great honor for me today to represent the Adjutant General and the rest of the Iowa National Guard team in this significant event in the growth of the National Guard here in Fairfield. Thank you again for all of your support and all of your help.
At this time, I would ask Brigadier General Griffin, Senator David Miller, Representative Rebecca Reynolds, Mayor Robert Rasmussen, First Lieutenant McClintock, and CW2 Goodwin to come forward for the traditional passing of the ceremonial key to the Armory. The symbolism of presenting the key is one of success and cooperation. The architect, with his arm of craftsmen, built and presented the symbolic key to our local state congressman, a finished product to house the militia. Senator Miller and Representative Reynolds present the facilities to the community that will support its functions. The Mayor, in turn, presents the key to Brigadier General Griffin, who represents the Adjutant General, whose responsibility lies in ensuring the readiness of these units. Brigadier General Griffin presents the key to First Lieutenant McClintock and CW2 Goodwin, who are honored with the care and preparation of the citizen soldiers to support and defend our freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, the Iowa National Guard has been blessed with the outstanding leadership of Major General Warren G. Lawson since he returned to his home state in 1979 to become our Deputy Adjutant General, and in 1985, our Adjutant General. He learned and honed many lessons and techniques about leadership, training, and caring for soldiers during his 20 years of active duty. We are all glad he came back to share them with us, to teach us, mentor us, and direct and lead the Iowa Army and Air National Guard to unprecedented levels of readiness. Major General Lawson recently retired from the leadership of our outstanding Iowa National Guard and passes the torch to Brigadier General Dardis. Today, the city of Fairfield wants to recognize their native son for his distinguished service to our state and nation. Again, it is with great pleasure I introduce the Mayor of Fairfield, the Honorable Robert Rasmussen.
Thank you again. General, I think that when people perform services in a community, a lot of times it's forgotten and there aren't physical evidences of it. And I think today what we're really saying to you is, as a native son and as the Lawson family in general, who have made a very major contribution, particularly in the area of military in this country over these many years, that there ought to be a little bit of significant evidence that you have made a difference in not just this community but in the country. So one of the things that we thought, as part of this construction project, we did build a little street on the east side of the armory here, a street that is more than just supplies. I would like to hope that you might drive on it sometime, but we decided it was important that it ought to have a name, and so we put the name of Lawson Drive on this. Now, before we did this, I checked with the DOT and thought, was there any opportunity for the highway from Highway Burlington to Des Moines to be called Lawson Road or Highway, but it got turned down. So the best we could do today on behalf of the city of Fairfield is to present to you, and the sign will go up very shortly, an indication that General Lawson was here and General Lawson made a major role in this community. So here's the sign to Lawson Lane, Lawson Drive. The post is already out there, and by the time you leave the building, someone has been willing to put it up, and perhaps you and your mother and the rest of your family would like to stand under it, and in this rainy weather we'll take a picture of you of this and Lawson Drive. So thank you. And now I get to introduce someone who has also had a major role in this community and who is now leading our Chamber of Commerce, the Executive Vice President of the Fairfield Chamber of Commerce, Bob Phipps, who has another presentation to make. Mr. Phipps.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I'd just like to take a moment to say welcome home to the 224th Engineers and the 34th Army Band. In my mind, there's only one place in the state of Iowa for these two units, and that's Fairfield. I'm already looking forward to the next rededication ceremony here in Fairfield, when Phase 2 has been completed, and that's the much-needed addition on the west side of the building. So we'll look forward to another dedication ceremony. General Lawson, a couple of years ago, Mayor Rasmussen and his wife came home from a trip with an idea for the corner of 2nd and Burlington that would help preserve the heritage of Fairfield. With the placement of a 12-foot by 5-foot granite sign that has a skyline of Fairfield on it, and room for 5,000 bricks to be placed in front of it, we will have the Fairfield Heritage Courtyard. As part of the heritage, the Board of Directors of the Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce and the Fairfield Economic Development Association would like to honor the Lawson family with the following bricks. First brick, which you can all take a look at after the ceremony, or laying up here in front. First brick will say the family of Vern and Wilma Lawson. The second brick will be Richard Lawson, General, retired United States Air Force. The third brick will be Gene Lawson, J.I. Case Company, retired. And the fourth one will be Warren Lawson, Major General, retired U.S. Army. And number 5, Roger Lawson, Lieutenant Colonel, retired U.S. Army. General Lawson, you and your family have contributed a great amount of heritage to our community, and the Board of Directors thank you for that dedication to your country and community. So we hope that you will enjoy going down and taking a look at the bricks in the future. We don't know for sure when we're going to have the bricks laid, but hopefully by next spring. Now at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Chief Warrant Officer, retired Lane Bush. Lane has served 43 years with the Iowa National Guard and is currently president of the Armory Corporation. Lane?
Well, 50 years ago, last month, the Fairfield Armory Corporation was formed for the purpose, and I'm quoting from the Articles of Incorporation, to advance the interests of the Iowa National Guard as a whole, to aid and assist its activities as an arm of government, and especially to promote and assist the National Guard units of this community, which are now the 34th Army Band and the 224th Engineer Battalion headquarters. 2 members of the original charter are still serving and are here today. Major General Robert Gamreth, retired. If you'd please stand again, Bob. And Chief Warrant Officer Joe Little. They don't look old enough to have been here 50 years, but they were the original charter members of the Armory Corporation. Current members of the Armory Corporation are Major Retired Julius Zeke Van de Voorde, who couldn't be here today. Chief Warrant Officer Bob Popejoy, and I don't know where you are, retired. Stand, please. Chief Warrant Officer Ron Prill. Sergeant First Class Dean Johnson. Sergeant First Class Jim Saltz in the back, who is also the Secretary Treasurer of the Board. And Sergeant First Class Roger Gillespie, someplace in, there he is, Roger. And our newest member, Sergeant First Class Ray Chambers, members of the Armory Corporation. Over the, excuse me. Credit should go to Tom Loudon for putting the Articles of Incorporation together 50 years ago. He doesn't look old enough either. Over the years, the Fairfield National Guard units have been repeatedly recognized for outstanding achievements and were awarded trophies and plaques and other symbols of honor. But this facility has never had a suitable place for display of these awards. The Armory Corporation Board identified this need and adopted this project a few months ago. Bob Popejoy came up with the design. We then arranged for construction of the 2 cabinets that you see standing over here between the Iowa and the national flag. The cabinets are made of native oak, grown in this area, and were constructed by a local trombone player who is also a full-time National Guard supply sergeant. He is also an expert rifle marksman, and last weekend, as a member of the 34th Army Band rifle team, won top individual marksmanship honors to propel the band team to win the state championship in the Governor's 10. And he's also a cabinet maker. Staff Sergeant Tim Nelson, please stand. Tim volunteered his time for this project, and with the help of his dad and Jim Saltz and a couple of other folks, and I think they just did a super job in putting them together. Thank you very much. So it's my pleasure today, on behalf of the Fairfield Armory Corporation, on the occasion of the rededication of this armory, to present two Headquarters Company 224th Engineers and the 34th Army Band what we have named the Armory Historic Center. For yours, hope you may long enjoy. It is a distinct honor for me today to have a part in that tribute, Fairfield's tribute to Major General Lawson and his wife Bobby for their service to our country and the state of Iowa over the past 44 years. In 1979, after 24 years of active duty in the United States Army, then Colonel Bud and Bobby Lawson came home to join the National Guard family of Iowa. They came enriched with knowledge, experience, and professionalism, but most important, they brought with them values. Values that were forever present in their early years as their families helped them mold their lives in this community. Values that came to form the core for standards by which over the past 20 years the National Guard of Iowa has strengthened and grew to one of the premier Guard organizations in the nation. Soon after being appointed the Adjutant General of Iowa, those values were set down in writing by General Lawson as standards for leadership for all commanders and soldiers as the Iowa Guard went about the business of preparing for unknown missions. And there were a great number of missions, many within the borders of our state. The crash of United Airlines Flight 232 at Sioux City, train derailments, tornadoes, ice storms, as well as the floods of 1993 when more than 4,000 Guardsmen reported for duty throughout the state. There were many federal missions in support of active duty forces. In 1991, over 2,000 Iowa Guardsmen, including 700 from this battalion, 224th Engineer Battalion, reported for duty for Desert Shield and Desert Storm. In this age of come as you are missions, when the call to duty sounds, there just isn't time for us to make up for shortfalls in personnel or operational equipment or training readiness, or time to make up for a shortfall in willingness by soldiers to fulfill the commitment to duty. The phrase, come as you are, equates to readiness. Desert Storm, as well as all other deployments, was a real-world test of readiness. The Iowa Guard was ready for that mission, and that high state of readiness was achieved by each and every soldier working and training and living the values, or we can say standards, that were set out by our leadership. I would like to quote from General Lawson's words as he defined 14 standards for excellence, the Iowa Guard command philosophy. The first, integrity is above all and non-negotiable. Professionals don't care who gets credit. Be professional. Loyalty is a two-way street. Be loyal to your subordinates. Always look out for the troops. Be intolerant of abuses and misuses of them. The chain of command works. Use it. Delegate and supervise. Innovate. Seek a better way. Mistakes are authorized. Admit them, correct them, don't make them habit. Disagreement is okay till a decision is reached. It doesn't mean disrespect. Challenge assertions, don't assume. Improve, constantly improve. Keep things in perspective. Trust people until they prove unworthy of trust. Care about the Guard, your fellow worker. And last, make the job a joy. Have fun. Keep a sense of humor. These 14 standards go together to form a basis for the vision General Lawson set for the future of the Iowa Guard. In his words, to be recognized as a world-class organization We must first visualize our goals, then we must have a mission that directs and guides us toward that vision. Therefore, I offer you, the members of the Iowa Guard, this guidance to help us reach our common goals. The vision of the Iowa Guard is to be a world-class, total force partner capable of accomplishing its federal, state, and community missions with professional and citizen soldiers dedicated to protecting and defending the basic values that all Americans cherish, and at the same time caring for all those within its family of members. So today, General Lawson and Bobby, on behalf of the community of Fairfield, upon the occasion of your retirement, we wish to contribute to the preservation of the legacy that you're leaving with the Iowa National Guard. These plaques portray, in your words, the vision and the standards that you set forth during your watch as Iowa's Adjutant General. The plaques are inscribed with the words, presented to Major General Warren G. Lawson, the Adjutant General of Iowa, and his wife Bobby, in recognition of their service to the Iowa National Guard during the period 1 July 1979 through 18 June 1999. Then, with your permission, as the first articles to grace the Historic Center on our left, we wish to place those plaques there to remain forever in this facility for all to see, and to remember a time in history when Bud and Bobby Lawson distinguished themselves, their family, and the Fairfield community by their service to the nation and the state of Iowa. We would like to present parchment copies of the plaques for you to take with you. And as we recently heard you say, General Lawson, it's been a great ride. It has been a great ride for all of us. Thanks to you and Bobby for all you've done.
Now it's time to hear from our honored guest. The headlines in the newspaper read, Lawson, molder of citizens and soldiers, retires. And there was a changing of the guard on Friday, June 18th of this year, when Major General Warren Lawson stepped down after his 14 years as Adjutant General and 44 years of military service. The article goes on to say that his tenure would witness the rise of the Iowa National Guard from near last in most categories to one of the premier organizations in the nation. It was a period of vision, of leadership, and motivation, resulting in accomplishments previously unmatched in Iowa National Guard history. Iowa and its citizen soldier men and women and the expanded facilities would become a showcase of the country's National Guard structure. His program was complete package, not only one of military readiness, but one of personal education, of high personal standards, and community service. And I think it's this depth that we are recognizing today of what went on in that National Guard as he helped attain 50% of educational assistance in higher education for Iowa Guard men and women, instituting some of the National Guard piece of counter-drug programs, and building the new National Maintenance Training Center, certainly at Camp Dodge, which is recognized as one of the top training centers in the country, as I understand. And he has built 100% strength in the Guard in the state of Iowa, which is now 5th in the nation in readiness, and certainly other states cannot take claims to. So generally speaking, the list can go on as the proud heritage of what General Warren Lawson has done for the state of Iowa as a military man certainly has a long list of accomplishments. The new Brigadier General Dardis certainly has large shoes to follow in our estimation, and today we would like to say thank you to General Lawson for the support that his wife Bobby has shown, and to the entire Lawson family. So General Lawson, the podium is yours.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Senator Miller, Representative Reynolds, good friend Bob Phipps, distinguished general officers, fellow guardsmen, friends all. Bobby and I are humbled by what has transpired here today. And as a matter of fact, I began to get wind that I was to be more than a spectator here today, which I had thought when I said that I indeed would be here on the 2nd of October some weeks ago. And I began to hear things, and I called up Steve Bloomer. I don't know whether Colonel Bloomer has made it yet or not. His helicopter fell out, and so he's driving down here. He's the commander, and I called Steve up last week, and I said, hey, what the hell is going on down there at Fairfield? And I said, you know, I've been trying to de-emphasize the retirement. I don't handle these things well. And I said, what's going on? And he said, well, he said, you know, the city is, and he began to lay it on the city. And I squeezed a bit of truth out of him after I thundered a while. And I tell you that I am absolutely overwhelmed. You know, the honors that I have been provided since I was announced as a retiree have just been incredible. My God, they had a huge dinner in Des Moines with all of the flim flam and flair. And Bobby and I were the honored guests at that event. And then individually, battalions all around the state would do this or that. I will tell you that in my living room I have the sheet music for the Lawson March out of the band. I have an eagle, the most beautiful eagle that I have seen, that was handmade by a person in Burlington for the command sergeant major of this battalion, which was presented to me. I have a knitted flag, a throw, from the battalion that was made by the battalion commander's wife standing in the rear, that's right inside my front door. I have walls of plaques and pictures downstairs that represent the years that we were privileged to be the commander of the Iowa Guard. And now I get honored in Fairfield. Fairfield has always been my home. I owe all that I am and what I have become or been to faces in this room and those that have passed. Gene and I were blessed with great genes. Same with Dick and Roger. We were brought up in a home that taught right and wrong, taught us that we could compete with anybody, and we did. All of us did. And so I accept these honors on behalf of my brothers and my mother, my family. And as a matter of fact, I accept them equally as much. Because I was fortunate to catch Bobby. And she and her family were even more closely connected to the Guard than I. Slim, his whole pride in life was in that band. Made a lot of the music of that band. And so I accepted on behalf of Bobby, who was the best of Army wives. My God, she went anywhere, did anything in support of my job. And I also accepted these recognitions on behalf of a lot of faces that are here in the audience. People, the old gray heads, that were so much a part of my life. From the time I was this high until I went to the university, and most of them followed me while I was in the university, then followed my career on active duty. And these people, individually and collectively, impacted on me to shape the values that we collectively put down in our goals and expectations of what it was to be a soldier in the Iowa National Guard. A part of each of you, and you know who you are. I see Sunday school teacher back here, and I see a whole host of folks that meant so much to me as a kid growing up. And you know who you are, and I accept this on your behalf as well, because you had a hand in it. I accept it on the behalf of a lot of former Guardsmen and people within the vicinity. You know, I accept it on behalf of the likes of the sheriff of our adjoining county down here that is here. I accept it on behalf of our friends down in Burlington. I accept it on behalf of the 7,500 Army Guardsmen and 2,500 Air Guardsmen that accepted the challenge of becoming a world-class organization, committed to excellence and committed to each other, because collectively we did achieve that. And I accept these honors on the behalf of all of those, because without the dedicated efforts of the likes of our band, the likes of the 224th Engineers, why, I wouldn't be standing here today. How good is the Guard today? How good is this unit here today? Well, they were mustered for Desert Shield, Desert Storm, went to Europe and became the Engineer Battalion for a division in Europe that was doing their annual evaluation cycle. These folks converted from a straight leg engineer outfit to a mechanized engineer outfit and went to Hohenfels and demonstrated their expertise to such a level that they ended up their period of service, and the 7th Army commander, a General Saint, said, "Those guys are special." And he made them an award of a Distinguished Unit Citation, the only one of all of the units that mustered for Desert Shield, Desert Storm, the only one that got a Distinguished Unit Citation was this Engineer Battalion out of Fairfield, Iowa. And I needn't say it about this band, because all of you, God knows, know the quality of that band. But I must tell you, my most recent war story about it is this. Last summer, they went to Fort Carson, Colorado to serve as the band for the post-camp station of Fort Carson and the 4th Infantry Division. The commander of that division is a General Sariano. And Sariano saw me down at Little Rock 2 weeks ago. And General Sariano saw Iowa on my name tag and he said, "Oh God, you're from Iowa. I forgot that." He said, "Let me tell you about your band." He said, "It's the best military band I've heard recently." And he said, "I'm making them the honorary band for the 4th Infantry Division on active duty." And that's the caliber of these guys. World class, but not without great effort. And that's what we have. And that's what made my 20 years of military back in Iowa such a joy. Because Iowans are special people who will strive to be as good as anybody in the country. And generally they have the intellectual and the emotional ability to accomplish those special things. And so it was my great privilege and Bobby's great privilege to share with me in the leadership responsibility for causing Iowa to reflect on their own abilities and to team together to achieve things that we hadn't done for a very long period of time. And so I say thanks to everybody that is wearing or has worn the uniform during that window of time. Now, I will tell you that my biggest disappointment on today's occasion, and God knows my emotions are tremendously fulfilled, but my biggest disappointment, and Bob Phipps mentioned it, implied it, I'm going to be much more direct than you were, but this project's not done. This project was designed to put a 30 or 40 foot extension in that direction on this building. And the federal funding we did not get. And so Fairfield needs to keep their sights on, I believe it to be $3 or $3.5 million that the federal government I will tell you that Leonard Boswell and Chuck Grassley and Senator Tom Harkin, all of those are working that issue, but Fairfield needs to keep that in their sights and driving for those funds, because the state funds that were provided for this facility, that Representative Reynolds and Senator Miller worked so hard to get, those state funds were contingent upon a completion of that building back there as well. And that's the federal size of that. So we need to push and push and push till we get it, because this facility has the content, the units here that justify that, and we shouldn't be satisfied until we get it. I have said thank you to about as many ways as I know how. I can't tell you how grateful that I am. I can't tell you how warm it makes me feel to be gone from Fairfield essentially since 1951, and to come back here on a rainy Sunday afternoon and be warmed by what you have done. I suspect that Lawson Drive is the shortest street on record. But it doesn't diminish at all how proud I am and what great joy I'm going to have the next time I have my older brother here to bring him down here and us to drive behind the armory on my street. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Major General Lawson. All of us appreciate all you have done, more than you will ever know, I think. So, on the occasion of Major General Lawson's retirement, you guys already mentioned this, Chief Warrant Officer Goodwin wrote a special composition they call the General Lawson's March. Mr. Goodwin? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for participating in the dedication of the Fairfield Armory. We ask you to take a few minutes to join us for some refreshments in the back there and look over our new facility. There are guides stationed at most positions in the Armory, so feel free to look around and ask some questions about what we do and what the Armory is all about. As you leave, please drive carefully And right now, I hope Chief Goodwin has offered to do play some more music. And as always, I like to listen to them, so they will play for a short time for your entertainment. Thank you.